Welcome to the Stoic Room. I'm your host, Jerry. Today I'll be interviewing Enson Inoue, mixed martial arts legend. He's fought for organizations like Pride Fighting Championship, the UFC, and Shuto. He's also a personal hero of mine, and I really hope you enjoy our conversation. So let's get into it.
Mr. Enson.
Hey, what's up?
How's it going?
Good, man.
I'm digging that shirt.
Oh, thanks.
How's it going over there?
I just had some unexpected shit happen, man.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my koi's spawned.
Uh-huh.
So I have to separate the eggs, and
Oh, wow.
I have to set up a whole different tank to separate the eggs because they eat the eggs, yeah.
Oh, wow. Gotcha.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I was doing all that shit just now. I didn't even realize what time it was. I was like, fuck.
You're good. Well, I appreciate you doing this. You know?
Right, man.
Yeah. So, actually, before we get into everything, UFC 275 is coming up. I actually wanted to ask you about some of the fights. Weili Zhang and Joanna are going to go at it. And Glover Teixeira and Jerry Prajka are also fighting as well. So I wanted to get your thoughts on those fights.
Okay.
Yeah. So what do you think of Joanna Jurjacek?
That one I think is 50-50, man.
Right.
I think, I thought after Roses, I thought Joanna had the chin was bad, so I thought Weili was definitely going to knock her out.
Right.
I thought that Weili had a strong chin, so I thought it wouldn't be a problem, and she's a brawler.
Mm-hmm.
But man, she tagged them so many times. She kind of, she tagged Joanna so many times, and she didn't, I guess Rose just had the right timing, the right pop on her punches. I think Weili has more of the pushing and more power punches, and Rose has those timing and that poke, that pop, those knockout punches. So maybe that was a difference. So I mean, that one is pretty much going to be who wants it more, I think.
Right. Gotcha. And
I would most want to say that Weili's going to win, but that first fight was so close and it was such a war.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, you really can't. Putting money down would be really hard at this. I mean, I would put money on anybody that's the underdog.
Right. Right. Yeah, it should be a good one. And you also have Glover Teixeira. A lot of people kind of thought he was done for. I mean, he's getting up there in age as well. But he's proved a lot of people wrong. He's going up against Jerry Prajka. He's also a dangerous fighter. So what do you think about Glover in that fight?
Yeah, so, for me, I really thought that Glover was, a little bit on the downside of his career.
Yeah.
And regardless that he won the title, I still think so.
Oh, you still think so, yeah?
I think he had a good fight.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to depend on if he can get Jerry to the ground.
Yeah, gotcha.
He's young, hungry, moves good, hits hard. I had to put money on it. I think Jerry's going to win because I just think that Glover has past his golden time.
A lot of miles, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I thought in the title fight too, and he won it. So
Yeah, you never know. Very true.
Yeah, but if I had to put money on it, I'd go with Jerry because I think he's young, hungry, and I think he has everything to be the champ.
Right.
His ground hasn't been really tested, or even in Rising, it hasn't been seen that much.
Yeah, that's right.
But I would just go with him.
Right, gotcha. And there was I don't know if you got a chance to watch Charles Oliveira's last fight when he choked out. You did? What did you think about that?
Yeah, Charles is the type of champion that can probably lose to anybody but could beat everybody.
Right, yeah.
His chin, when he gets hit, he gets dropped. Almost every fight he fights, he gets dropped. But I think his conditioning and his persistence and his heart allows him to work through it and survive.
Right, yeah.
And he's a durable fighter, and he's so dangerous that if you make one slip up, no matter who you are, you're gonna get finished.
Right.
Although he has that chance of getting beaten because of he gets dropped a lot.
Yeah.
He also has that one chance. All he needs is one chance to finish you. So,
right.
That kind of makes it exciting. He's an exciting fighter. I thought Gaethje was going to walk through him.
Yeah. Yeah, what did you think of the whole weigh-in sort of controversy there, I mean, he kind of they're claiming that he weighed in over, but they're saying that there may have been an issue with the scale. I don't know what's going on with that. So
Yeah, I mean, if there's gonna have if the UFC is gonna have issues with the scale, they should allow the fighters to check on the official scale.
right, gotcha.
I mean, that's what we do in Rising.
Mm-hmm.
In Japan, it's all like that. When the days before the fight, we go to the commission office,
Mm-hmm.
and they let us weigh ourselves on the scale that they're weighing on.
Right, gotcha.
Yeah. Or what we do is we calibrate our scale with the weigh-in scale. So we'll calibrate. We will weigh ourselves that day. We'll drive down to the office, get a weight on that, and that we will know the difference of pounds or kilos from our scale to the official scale. So, I mean, I'm sure they're traveling, so they can't carry their own scale around. So,
Yeah.
I mean, like Dana said, they're going to calibrate it, and then they're going to keep security around the scale.
Yeah, they're gonna have a security guard
So
near the scale.
can
Yeah.
touch and change the calibration.
Yeah.
Or they let the fighters, if they don't want to hire another guy to just watch the scales, maybe it might be a good idea to have them weigh on the official scale and have the official scale in one room, and then whenever they have to call and ask for permission, and they go check it out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Khabib Nurmagomedov is really trying to push a fight between his guy Islam Makhachev and Charles Oliveira. What do you think about that? Or actually, who do you think might win?
I think that Islam is ready. I think he's ready, but I think all these guys that division is a crazy division, and they've all been fighting and battling and scratching through that division.
Yeah, it's stacked.
Regardless of his level, or if he's ready, or if he'll actually become the champ, I think it's important that he needs to. I feel the same thing. He needs to beat one more fighter. Like Dariush could be the contender spot.
Yeah, Benil Dariush. I mean, he's another guy. Yeah, he's up there as well.
Yeah.
But with Islam Makhachev, I mean, I guess it would be wrestling versus. Charles Oliveira is known for his jiu-jitsu, and Makhachev is known for his wrestling. But I mean, do you think he has a good chance of beating Oliveira?
Yeah, I think he has a good chance because his pressure on the ground. You know how Khabib could beat jiu-jitsu guys. Yeah.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
Oliveira, I think he's striking his head over heels better than Makhachev. Makhachev wrestling's probably better, but the jiu-jitsu is Oliveira's jiu-jitsu is different. Is very good.
Yeah.
So I think it'll come down to how much damage Oliveira can do on the feet. And then if it goes to the ground, that'd be a freaking interesting jiu-jitsu against, what do you call that? Russian jiu-jitsu, Russian sambo, or Russian
sambo. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Khabib ground. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Because I guess that was always the question, right? I mean, when Khabib was going to fight Tony Ferguson, and that fight got, I mean, it was. There was always something would always happen. The fight was called off like 4 or 5 times. So
that fight was hexed, man.
Yeah, it was. But speaking of wrestlers, I mean, there was a rumor going around that Chimaev might be fighting Nate Diaz, possibly. I don't know. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Oh man. The only thing I would be thinking I would go with Chimaev is that he's just young and strong.
Yeah.
And Nate is just at the end of his career.
Yeah.
And Nate, he does he look at him, he does no steroids, he does no weight training. He's pretty much just a natural, smokes weed and has a cardio
triathlete. Yeah, he's a triathlete.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would say the percentages are probably Chimaev, but. Knowing Nate's longevity and his stamina, Chimaev showed in his last fight that he does get a little tired.
Right.
He also gets hit a lot.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not. I think the hype is real, but I don't think the hype is what it was. He's not that beast that just walks through everybody, and he's going to walk through to the title. So.
Right.
I'd rather see Chimaev and Nick Diaz.
Chimaev and Nick Diaz, really?
Yeah, I think that would be a much more interesting fight than Nate. I think I don't think Nate has enough to overcome someone like Chimaev unless Chimaev doesn't put him away right away and Nate's cardio and pressure takes over. Because, Nate doesn't have that one knockout punch.
Yeah. Yeah, so you think Nick would have a better chance of beating Chimaev than Nate?
I think so, because I think Nick gets harder. Nate's bigger and stronger.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, overall, I mean, you know, Nick has taken the background for Nate because of Connor and stuff. But you know, as the old school, you know, new school guys think Nate Diaz. Oh, Nick. Oh, he has a brother. No. The old school guys know it's about Nick Diaz, and then he has a younger brother, Nate. You know, anybody who's watched MMA for over 15 years knows that the Diaz brothers is revolved around Nick,
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, with Nick, I mean,
you know, like Nick. Yeah. Nate had a good fight with Connor. He had like a nice, 2 fight with Connor, and you know.
Yeah.
I just, when I saw that, you know, I kind of didn't like the way Connor flew his mouth around. I kind of laugh at it now, but before I didn't like it. I wanted him to see him get beat. Yeah. And then I always thought that, after he beat Nate, I was saying, I hope he calls out Nick now.
Right.
When Masvidal beat Nate, I was like, I want to see him fight Nick now, you know?
Right,
because Nick's the real deal. Nick is the real deal. Nate is good too, but, I mean, if you're going to compare fighters, you're going to say, you're talking about like a university level and a good high school level if you compare Nick and Nate.
Yeah, right. Well, with Nick, I mean, his situation was kind of, I don't think he was treated well by I believe he had a 4-year suspension, you know, because they found marijuana in his system. And, they only gave Anderson Silva, like, I think a year off, and they found, you know, performance-enhancing drugs in his system. So, it's kind of strange, but I hope he comes back. Yeah, that would be really interesting. So I did want to ask you about the second book that you're writing. So for people who don't know, you are an author. You wrote Live as a Man, Die as a Man, Be a Man. It's on Amazon. It's a real page turner. It's really great. What can you tell me about your second book? And do you enjoy the writing process too? Yeah,
well, the writing is still the same. It's still all me. It's still all in my words. I didn't. I turned down the first book. I turned down some offers from publishers because, as you know, when you sell your book to a publisher, they have the right to change and omit anything that they want and change the wording.
Yeah.
You know, and I felt that, you know, of course, in the book, if you read the book, there's probably a better word to describe certain situations, but that is not words I would use.
Right.
So I wanted people who knew me or people who've met me reading the book saying, fuck, it sounds like Enson's talking.
Yeah, I felt like I was being personally addressed, you know, when I was reading it.
Yeah. So I wanted to keep it like that, so I did turn it down. As far as that, the writing style is exactly the same in the second book. Again, there's no punches pulled. There's no stories exaggerated or cut down. There's no changes of names whatsoever. The stories that you hear, like the first book, the Yakuza stories, the family names are exactly as it is. The names of the Yakuza are exactly as it is. No punches pulled on that too. The only difference with book 1 and book 2 is book 2 will move more into after fighting life.
Right.
It still covers a couple. Some of the, I think, a fight or two that I had, but it's more. I believe, as far as just a shallow fan, the first book would probably be more enjoyable because it's more about the fighting life. But the second book, if someone's an Enson Inoue fan, if someone cherishes and looks up to the Yamato Domashi lifestyle, the second book will cover it a lot more. The second book has, the ring was a lot of fierce battles that I had, but the biggest battles I had was out of the ring. Prison time, walking across Japan, doing the 880-mile pilgrimage, those kind of things are stuff I really touch on, and
yeah,
it's really neat because when I was writing the prison chapter, I was recalling what it was, and I remembered that I wrote a diary in prison.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, so I wrote a diary, and then when I went through the diary, I was like, oh my God, I don't need to remember anything. The diary was, I was spilling it. It was like, diaries, you tell exactly how you feel. You don't worry about people judging you being a pussy or you being a dick, or, you're just writing your feelings on it. I think the diary was good for me to get my feelings out.
Yeah.
There was a lot of suffering in prison because it was the first time I've ever put in prison. And the Japanese prisons are really strict.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so, when I read it through it, I was like, wow, that's all I need. It was the whole chapters was all diary excerpts.
Right, gotcha.
Yeah, so it's straight out of the diary right into the book. So Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to ask you, I mean, writing about those experiences, kind of going back and looking over it, is it kind of like, is it painful for you, or okay, can you just kind of, because a lot of people, they don't like to think about, like, past events or maybe the trials and tribulations, So, I mean, what was that like for you, kind of going back and,
Well, I think I have a whole different outlook on life.
yeah.
Anything in my life I've appreciated, whether it's bad situations or good.
Mhm.
I was put in prison for 28 days, but I've learned a lot from it, and
Right.
I believe that incident, although as I lost my freedom for 28 days, there was so many good changes that happened. There's so many good things that happened. There's so much good and pluses that I took out of that experience that
Mhm.
it actually, for me, I feel like it was a good experience.
Right.
So looking back at it, there's no, it's not hard to read. It's more nostalgic.
Right. Yeah.
And then remembering that when I did first get arrested, I thought my life was over. I thought it was the worst thing in my life. Knowing now that I had the right outlook coming out of prison, and I had the right outlook, about the whole situation.
Mhm.
Because of that outlook, I've learned from it, and I was able to make it a good situation.
Mhm.
So yeah, so it's not something at all hard to look at all.
Right. Yeah. Well, that says a lot about your character, though, too. I mean, your first book was I mean, it was incredible. I'm kind of surprised no one's like approached you to try to make a series out of it. I mean, there's a lot in there, but yeah, I was going to say. So you said it's coming out in the middle of this year. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Okay. On Amazon.
Wait, hold on. Let's pause real fast. I let my dogs in.
Oh yeah, take your time. Yeah.
Come on. Hey, shut up. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah, you're good.
right now, oops. Let me charge my phone real fast.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah.
So currently, the status of the book 2
Right.
is I again I had the first book. I actually had a lot of professional editors wanted to edit my book for me.
Mm-hmm.
So of course, before I have them do that, even hire them to do that, I had them do a sample chapter.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't like how they made it better, but they changed things. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, for some reason, I guess if you're a professional editor, your name is behind the edit, and I think you need to have the way you want it done, So
True. Yeah.
when that happened, I noticed that it's kind of changing, the feeling that you get from like Enson Inoue is reading it to me. So
Right.
what I decided to do was I just I did it with the second book too. All we did was we just passed the book around. So I did an edit.
Mm-hmm.
There was a fan that's been a fan for a long time, and he's an editor. Send it to him. There was a mother, one of my friends, like longtime friends' mothers.
Yeah.
She offered to edit, and she's really good. They all know not to change the wording, just grammar, sentence structure, that kind of stuff. She did it.
Right.
My mom looked at it, and the last person that looks at it is my wife Sarah. So she's
Mm-hmm.
gonna look at it, and then she's done with it. And Sarah's the one who. I mean, it's all self-published, so she's the one who does the margins, does the format, the layout, everything.
So really? Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and she said she's almost done. She's almost done with it.
Nice. That's great. Yeah. Well, I look forward to reading it, so I'll keep an eye out for it. Yeah. So you actually brought up Yamato domashi. Actually, for people who don't know, well, you even said in our last conversation. In Japan, a lot of people don't really know what that is. You can't really define it all that well. So if you don't mind, can you explain what that is and why it's so important to you?
So to explain the root of the word, Yamato long ago meant Japan. It means Japan, Yamato. So land of Yamato is the land of Japan. Yeah. In this current age and day, they use the word Nihon. So back in the day, so what I'm talking is back in the days, I'm talking the day of the samurai, before the World War. It was called Yamato. So the literal meaning of Yamato Damashi is, the Tamashi is spirit. And you don't read it Yamato Tamashi. In Japan, when you put two words together, a lot of times, I don't know if it's for the flow of the pronunciation, they change some of the words. Like the Yamato Tamashi becomes a D now, so it's Yamato Damashi. So what that reads into is like, it's almost like Yamato, Japan, Tamashi is spirit, so the spirit of Japan. And the people who introduced the word to me, they explained to me that, you know, it's the spirit of Japan, but it's such a vague meaning if you just speak of the spirit of Japan. So what they explained to me was that back in that day, samurai ruled Japan. It was all about samurai. So it's classified and it's translated and understood today in Japan as the spirit of the samurai. What people in Japan don't understand is it's looked at as, you know, something that like something of strength, something of no fear. You know, it's like a powerful word. And people that don't understand the word properly, there's three levels of understanding of the word. The first level is people who do not understand it at all. They think it's associated with the right-wingists and the Yakuza in Japan, because those people are the only people who just didn't want to abide by America's sanctions of not using the word. So one of the sanctions that America put onto Japan, because, you know, Japan went and attacked America. And I think America believed that because of their pride and their strength and their belief of their country and how proud they were about Japan's spirit, that was one of the big problems why they attacked the United States. So what the U.S. did was they made sanctions where they weren't allowed to speak of Japan in that way. So of course the word Yamato Damashi, speaking of the Japanese spirit, was abolished. Yeah, so the only people who wouldn't bend over to the sanctions were the Yakuza and the right-wingers.
Right, yeah.
So today they still fly flags, and they have if you ever came to Japan and you see this barricaded buses with a big Japan flag on them, and they're screaming stuff on the megaphone. They use the word Yamato Damashi a lot because they're saying we'll never lose to the foreigners. We'll stay in our own country, our own entity. You know, we're Japan spirit. Right. So the word. So people who don't understand the word, that's how they see it. Like, ooh, like when I first made the shirt, people didn't want to wear it because they're like, ooh, they're gonna think I'm a right-wingist or I'm a Yakuza supporter. So that's one level. The second level is people who don't really understand and think it's just about being strong, being tough. Don't ever give up, you know? But what people don't understand is the real meaning behind it is there's four things. There's loyalty, integrity, courage. You know, those words, what is courage and courage, loyalty, integrity, and strength, yeah? So those words are the ones that, you know, really encompass Yamato Damashi. Yeah. So, you know, as you know, samurai and Yakuza, people don't, you know, what hits the news nowadays is when, you know, how the samurai used to kill people and behead people, you know, and the Yakuza, you know, child pornography, just sell drugs, strong arming, extortion, you know. Right. But behind all that, you know, the ones that aren't, there's a lot that aren't like that and are honorable. You know, like they, like when you go, whenever there's a disaster in Japan, there was a big Kobe earthquake. There was also the tsunami that hit the north of Japan. What they don't say in the news is the first people out there spending their own money, walking through the land, helping the people, are the Yakuza. Right. Yeah. So you know, that's where the word will broaden and become compassion. You know, loyalty, integrity. You know, that kind of words. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So, I mean, what does Yamato Domashi mean, like, to you in your life? And let's say, I mean, if someone wanted to change, you know, like if a kid's watching this and he wants to say, you know, I want to be like, you know, a modern day samurai, like Enson Inoue. I mean, how would they,
what steps would they have to take to kind of to live that way, the Yamato domashi way?
I think one is understand the word, and understand the true meaning of the four words behind it. Yeah, I said strength, but not strength. It was compassion, integrity, honor, loyalty, and integrity.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So look up those words.
Right.
Compassion is just not being kind. There's a lot of meaning behind compassion. Integrity is not just doing what's right, but it's doing what's right even when people aren't around. Even if it's something that is against what you believe, if it is the right thing to do, that's integrity, to follow up on those things. So there's a lot of things behind loyalty. People don't understand loyalty.
True.
I've had people I've called brothers for decades and had to cut them because I realized that they didn't understand the true meaning of loyalty.
Yeah.
People will say, yeah, I'm loyal to you, but when something happens, like their loyalty fades and say, oh yeah, I'm loyal, but in that certain circumstance, that's hard to be loyal because of this and this and this. It's like, wait. Loyalty, there's no degree of loyalty. It's 100% or 0%. So, people know what the meaning of the word loyalty means, but they don't understand what true loyalty is. They think loyalty is standing by someone's side most of the time.
Right.
Yeah. So, people don't understand the true meaning of these words. So that's one thing you would have to do if you wanted to start the walking the path of Yamato Domashi, is understand those four words.
Gotcha.
And live by it. And especially in the hard times is when the tests start. And a big thing a big start to walking the road of Yamato Domashi is remembering that the hard times and the struggles are not bad or good. The struggles are things that will build you, and the struggles are things that will help you learn and become a bigger and stronger person.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I guess sports kind of help with that. They help build your character as well. I mean, you've been an athlete for a long time. Whether it was like racquetball or baseball, MMA. I mean, what is it about MMA that you love? What is it about the mixed martial arts that you love the most?
The reason why I went into the ring, the reason why I love mixed martial arts, is because for me, sports wasn't about getting a belt or being a champion or looking cool or getting famous or getting rich. Sports for me was an outlet to become a stronger person.
Right.
Sports was a way to develop discipline. Sports was a way to learn about victory and defeat. Sports was about being a good sport. And sports was about understanding that teamwork. Yes, so for me, that's what sports was. And if you're talking the aspect of becoming a stronger person, fighting your nerves, being able to control your fears and your anxiety, no matter what the situation is, because in life, depending on the situation, you might not be able to think level-headed. Depending on the situation, you might not be able to react and work at your best abilities. So sports was one of those things that I felt that was helping me control that. And as you know, if you play baseball, the object of the sport... Hey, stop it. As you know, if you play baseball, the object of the sport is to hit the ball and run around the bases to score a run.
Right.
The object of basketball is to grab the ball under the rules, without traveling, without double dribbling, getting the ball into the hoop. Even with those objectives in the sport, it is nerve-wracking when the game starts. You can make free throws all day, and all of a sudden, the pressure of the game, you miss the free throws.
Right.
Although the pressure is just making the ball in the hoop and winning the game. But martial arts. The reason why I was really attracted to martial arts was because the object is to win, but the object is to how do you win? You don't put a ball through a hoop. You don't hit a ball and run around the bases. How do you win in mixed martial arts? You break your opponent's arm. You hit him so hard that he knocks out and he gets unconscious. And of course, if that's your goal, that's the goal of your opponent.
Yeah.
Imagine the anxiety of being worried about missing a ball so that the guy scores a run. The guy juking you, getting to the basket and scoring a point, rather than you making a mistake and this guy hitting you in the head so hard that you lose consciousness, possibly die. You know, the penalties of failure in MMA is so huge,
right?
That the anxiety that it presents when you're in the process of competing is just uncomparable.
Yeah.
And that's where I took to martial arts.
Right.
It's my whole journey in sports wasn't to become a champion, wasn't to win a belt, was to become a stronger man and become a bigger man. And I felt with that anxiety and that, you know, that the way mixed martial arts is as a whole, you know, of course, you know, back in the day they called it human cockfighting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with that, you know, it's like there's no comparison on the growth you'll have and the experience you'll get and the discipline you'll be able to learn fighting martial arts. That's why I love martial arts. That's why I love MMA. It was my route and my way to become a much stronger and better man.
Right. Yeah. And you touched on something. So when you were competing, how did you deal with anxiety and sort of fear before going out and competing? I mean, how did you handle that? Because a lot of people, like in the gym during, like in training, I mean, there's some guys that are really, you might think that no one can beat them at all, but then under the lights, it's just everything changes, you know? So, I mean, how did you deal with anxiety and fear and doubt?
Well, I think anxiety and fear and doubt is something that'll come in. If you're a human being, it'll come into your head no matter what. No matter what. And I believe the most important thing about battling anxiety and fear is accepting it and be real about it. You know, like a perfect example. I was watching the TOF the other night, and then you had Juliana Pena telling her fighter, "You're better. You're way better than him standing. You're gonna win. You're the best. You're the best." You know. For me, that's Rose Namajunas does that. She walks in the ring. I'm the best. I'm the best. I'm the best. You know, some people like it like that. For me, I don't. I believe. You know, you can try and persuade yourself you're the best, but you know what's going to happen? You're going to know in your heart that you're not the best sometimes.
Right.
You're going to know that you're fighting someone better than you. But there's, doesn't mean you're not going to be able to win just because the person's better. But there's going to be you're never going to be always the best ever. There's going to always be a younger wolf that comes up and can beat you.
Right.
Yeah. So what happens then? You're gonna brainwash yourself and just say, I'm the best, and you know in your heart I'm not, but I'm the best. You know, I believe the better route to that is to accept you're not the best, but also accept that just because they're better than you doesn't mean they're not human. Doesn't mean that they make mistakes. Yeah. When I fought Randy Couture, he was a better fighter than me. And, going into the fight, I wasn't trying to convince myself, I'm the best, I'm better than him, I can beat him. My whole thing was, hey, he's human. And, people will say that Randy had a 99% chance to win. So, in my eyes, I say you have 99 roads to victory. I had one road to victory. Right. How many roads do you walk in a fight? Only one. Yeah. So if I walk my one road, does his 99 roads have anything? It means nothing. It's just that he has 99 roads to walk, and it's probably a better percentage that he'll walk one of those 99 roads than that one that I only have, But still, if I walk that one road, his 99 means shit. If I grab his arm, I have his arm in my hips. I don't care how much better he is than me. My hips are going to be way stronger than his arm. If I get the choke in his neck and he somehow, because he's human, he slips up and I get that choke deep, and I clog his throat, I stop the blood flow in his arteries, he's going to sleep as fast as I would go to sleep. So that kind of things are the things I put into my head. Right. And then I also train as hard as I can, knowing that if he's better than me, you know what? I'm gonna have to become the best ensign that I can to that day. If the best ensign will not get better than that Randy Couture, the closer I get, maybe I'll get 2 roads to victory. Maybe I'll get 3 roads to victory.
Right.
But as a human being, humans make mistakes. I don't think you'll ever be in a. Of course, if it's ridiculous for a elementary school kid fights Mike Tyson, that kind of stuff's kind of ridiculous. But I don't think there'll ever be a time when you got 2 adults fighting each other that's trained in a professional level, that there's 100% chance that this person will never win. As you see in sports, it happens a lot.
Sure.
Mike Tyson, Buster Douglas.
Yeah.
You look at Joanna and Rose, the first fight.
Yeah.
Ronda Rousey, Holly Holm. You got
Chris Weidman, Anderson Silva.
What the fuck?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you fought a lot.
I believe that's a real important thing about that. You talk about, fear. How you battle that. You have to. I think you have to. Fear and pain. You have to understand it. Fear becomes an enemy, and fear is something that as soon as you feel, I gotta get rid of it. I can't have fear. No. You gotta welcome fear. You gotta understand fear. And when you can understand and welcome fear is when you can really work with it, and you can if you some parts of it you need to negate, some parts you need to absorb, and it helps you become a more fierce warrior with the fear.
Right.
I believe that the most fiercest warrior is not the one that doesn't have fear. It's the one that has the fear but knows how to turn that into power. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Anderson Silva, Chris Weidman was another big loss too. That was a huge upset. Yeah. Yeah. You're right about that.
Too. Yeah. I mean, if we sit down, we could probably have not enough fingers on our hands to count how much of those fights there were. That's
right.
I mean, I believe that's what makes sports so incredible.
Yeah.
The USA beating Russia in the Olympics in hockey. You don't even need to talk just fighting.
Right. Yeah.
Sports overall that's why sports is so exciting.
Yeah. Very true. Yeah. In your career, you fought a lot of amazing fighters. You mentioned Randy Couture. You fought Mark Kerr, Nogueira, Igor. You fought Zulu. You fought so many amazing fighters. Which fight are you most proud of in your career?
Okay, so proud in what way? So the proud as far as my career and Randy Couture's victory.
Randy Couture, yeah.
Proud is about showing my warrior spirit as far as kill or be killed, Frank Shamrock. Proud about me, growth for me as a man. Proud about me learning about my heart and my endurance and my persistence to never give up and never have my heart wander. Ego for Muchachi. So I think those 3 fights was very important in my legacy and my career. I think without one or the other, without beating Randy, people wouldn't admit that I was a good fighter. Without beating Frank, I don't even do win. Without fighting Frank, people wouldn't have really understood that. Whoa, he is real about kill or be killed. And without the Igor fight, I wouldn't be able to properly fly the Yamato domashi flag.
Right. Yeah. And for people who don't know, I believe Randy Couture was a UFC champion at that time.
Yeah, he was a UFC champion. I think he just beat Vitor Belfort.
That's right. Yeah. And you were a Shuto fighter. Yeah. And you 2 fought and you beat Randy. Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, there was no belt on the line, which didn't really matter to me. I fight money, belt did not mean nothing to me back in the day. I wish it did now because I wish I was more financially stable. I didn't have to work so hard to try to make ends meet.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, nowadays the UFC's changed so much. I mean, now it's all about entertainment. It's all about trying to get as much notoriety as possible. And I mean, what do you think about that? It's like, You have Conor McGregor, you have Colby Covington, even young up-and-coming fighters are trying to trash talk, even though they might not be trash talkers. They're just trying to get attention. They're trying to get some notoriety so they could get a bigger paycheck. So,
before even passing judgment on the fighters today, what we need to understand is everything has changed. The objective of fighting MMA has changed.
Right.
The idea of MMA has changed. You don't hear many fighters saying they're willing to die in the ring. If somebody does say that, they'll be gawked at. Yeah. When a fighter can't stop punching someone because they're so overwhelmed in the fact that this guy was trying to kill them. And I gotta, you're sowing it for 3 months. You trade that this guy's coming to Japan to kill me, and the only way I'm going to be able to stop him is I gotta kill him first. And that's so embedded in your mind that when you're fighting, it's not a sport anymore. It's about this guy's trying to kill me. I gotta kill him. I'm not going to be able to see my parents again. I'm not going to be able to come home to my house. This guy's trying to stop my life. And when you encompass that in your heart at such a deep level, winning the fight isn't the end of the fight. He's still alive, So, sometimes I had a hard time turning it off when that guy was so much energy that this guy was trying to kill me. I almost felt like, I remember there were a couple fights that I felt that I won, but he's still alive. And if the person's still alive, they can still come and kill me. Right. So the thing about that is that that's how bad it was, And people laugh at it today because they don't understand how it was back in the day. So, for me, if the fight was like that, and this whole mood and this whole objective of the fighters was still the same today, I'd gawk at the fighters today. I'd laugh at them. I call them pussies. I call them fake fuckers, But it's no longer existed. The martial art is already gone. I mean, I felt disappointed when it went from martial art to sport. But now it's even like sport to entertainment now. So it's a whole another level of different. And you got to figure the fighters nowadays are growing up with that in mind. It amazes me because sometimes you hear the fighters say stuff like, I have a child now. I have motivation. I have so much more motivation. They say, I gotta make money for my family. I gotta put food on the table. That's their inspiration. Right. Yeah. And you know what? Fighting for your child, fighting for putting food on the table is so minute compared to fighting for your honor and fighting for your life. So when they say they can train so hard because they have a child. I gotta put food on the table for the child. I gotta provide for my child. Go to another extreme and say, what if you die and you can't put food in your table? If you don't win the fight, if you don't do good in the fight, you can still go work as a fast food restaurant. You can still go get janitor if you're alive. So you're losing the fight and not providing for your children. It doesn't mean you're not going to be able to provide for your children. Not going to mean you're going to starve your children. It just means that you're going to have to work a lot harder, and you're not going to be able to bring in as much money as you would probably like to. Right. Maybe the child can't go as good of a school anymore because you don't have as much money. But the whole other level is death. Yeah. I mean, what is that pressure of that? I mean, to train because you don't want to die, not train because I need to put food on the plate for my children. You die. You can't. There's no way your children gonna have no father. You break your honor. People say, breaking your honor is, I believe, is just as bad or be more severe than death. Because as a man, to protect your family, to raise your child, to stand up for the ones you care about, you need that honor. You need that pride. Right. And I believe losing that pride is losing who you are, and it's just equals death in a way. Like my when 9/11 happened, one of my parents' my mom's best friend's son, he died in the tower. He was one of the ones. Well, from what we heard later, is he was one of the ones that jumped. So. Just thinking, I met him a couple times, but we never had like a real big bond. But I don't know, just because it was my mom's best friend, I was corresponding with her mom, Susan Lee. I was corresponding with her about, did they find him? Did they find him yet? No, but he did. He called his wife before the building collapsed, so we knew he was in there. I was getting these updates. We haven't found out from him. We haven't found out from him yet. So I felt a part of it. So when the buildings collapsed, and then he eventually passed, we found out that he passed away. For me, watching those documentaries, and when it first happened, there was a lot of documentaries on it, showing some of the footage that people got, and watching that, I sat in front of the TV in Japan with tears in my eyes. I had this churn in my heart that made me want to cry, made me want to not do anything. And then I get snapped out of it from a phone call from the owner of the building saying, "Hey, let's go to a hostess club and drink." And I go out of that trance. Okay, let's go down to the hostess club. Beautiful girls, talking to them, trying to get their number, laughing. Everything's cool. Yeah, everything's cool. And then when 9/11 gets mentioned, boom, all of a sudden, I'm like, whoa, what am I doing? Wow, what a hypocrite. I claim that I'm there's pain in my heart, but then all of a sudden I'm here partying and having a good time. Like this is so fake, So what was the question?
I believe we were talking about. Actually, I can't remember. Yeah.
We can cut this part out.
No, actually, I kind of wanted you to continue because I remember that you did mention that in the book as well. When that happened, you were actually going to enlist, and that caused a lot of problems in your personal life.
Pride of a person. It was
That's right.
Pride,
yeah.
So to continue, I felt like fuck. I gotta do something about it. And I felt that shit. The only way you can do anything about it is go and fight the war. And I thought, oh shit, I gotta go to war. I gotta enlist. And at the time, I was married to my first wife, and I remember telling her, consoling her, saying, I gotta enlist. I gotta go to war. And she's like, fuck, you're gonna go to war. You're gonna die, or you're gonna come back injured, or you're gonna come back so mentally fucked up that you're not gonna be the same person. And for me, like I said, the reason why I brought this story up is I was saying that the honor and pride in your heart is more important than life itself. Because I felt like how I'm gonna be dishonored. I'm gonna have shame in the man that I am. Because even go out to game centers, going out to the hostess clubs, having fun, but sitting in front of the TV when something comes on, saying that I really feel pain in my heart about it. But how can I go enjoy shit like that if I really feel that way? I felt dishonor in myself. And I felt that without the honor in your heart, without doing what you need to do, how are you going to be a true man? A true man needs to protect his family. A true man needs to love his wife. A true man needs to stand up and protect the people around him. And I just felt that I don't think I could properly defend my family. I don't think I could properly raise a child without the honor in my heart. So I remember telling her that I'm going to enlist. And she was told, and this was a big part of our divorce too. She couldn't understand it. She was saying, "No, why? She had a son from a previous marriage. I didn't have a son with her, but the son was from a previous marriage." She said, "Well, what about Urson? You got to take care of Urson. What about me?" And I try to explain it to her that without my pride, without my honor, I can't do it properly. I'm gonna die as a man. My body will be here, but spiritually, I'll be dead. And I don't feel like I could properly be the right husband or the right father to a child. And she couldn't understand it. There's a lot of people out there that won't understand that, but I feel that your honor and your pride is probably almost as or more important than life itself. Live on your. You either die on your feet or live on your knees.
Right.
And this is the two tattoos I have. Yeah. But this is pride and like honor and pride, and this is family. So the reason why I put them in my hands is because You know, as a child, when there's a newborn baby,
Mhm.
and you put your hand in your finger in their finger, and they grip your palms.
Mhm.
They can't open their eyes, they can't speak, but their hands are clenched.
Mhm.
You open their fingers, and there's like a nice grip where they grab you.
Mhm.
The other whole opposite end of life, when you're dying.
Mhm.
I've had people that was almost, you don't even know if they're alive, but the doctor would come in and say, do you feel pain?
Mhm.
And they squeeze your hand. If you say for a yes, squeeze me once for a no. Once for a no, twice for a yes. That kind of stuff.
Mhm.
So I realized in life, the first power before you even can speak, walk, open your eyes, the first and last power you have is clenching your fist.
Mhm.
So I got these tattoos because I was thinking of enlisting and going to war, and I thought that when I go to war, I'm not going to be able to protect my family. I'm not going to be able to protect my pride, because if I'm shot in the field and I got guys coming up to me and I'm laying down and I'm paralyzed and they're putting a gun to my head, they're going to finish me off. Pridefully, I'm really not even a stance to show that I have pride.
Mhm.
So I always told the story that if I go to war and I get into a situation, I die, I guarantee you, when I die, I'm going to have both hands clenched.
Right.
Because I'll be holding my family and my pride, and it'll never break. So
Right.
with that said, that's that long story went off on a tangent, but yeah.
No, it's great. Yeah.
I think that life itself, I think honor and pride,
Mhm.
is as important as life itself.
Yeah. Do you think it's important for kids to kind of learn about that? I mean, I don't know how things are in Japan. It's a different culture. But is honor sort of a big thing over there? I mean, do people kind of do things like honor and pride? I mean, are people kind of aware of that? And is that sort of a big thing over there?
Well, I don't think you can classify into countries. I think you classify into generations.
That's true. Yeah, generations.
The generations have changed.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And the fighters today, I mean, for me, I'm around fighters a lot, so it's blatant in fighters.
Mm-hmm.
Like my new fighter, Tsuyoshi, he's like an ex-sumo wrestler. He's a big heavyweight. He's a strong guy, super athletic, super good fighter. But he's a fighter in the modern day.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have that grit to fight for his life.
Yeah.
As soon as there's any in danger of having a major injury or his life is in danger, the honor, integrity, pride has nothing to do with it. It's protect yourself. Yeah.
Protect yourself. Yeah.
It's hypocritical a little bit of me, because I mean, I would throw in the towel for him. I think I've also in a way adjusted to the way it is in this day and age. I mean, the times have changed.
Very true. Very true.
And you know what's real hard? And you see fighters like get Justin Gaethje. You see fighters like Khabib. You see these guys that are still martial artists fighting in this modern day.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times they're misunderstood, or they're
they live by a code.
Yeah, they live by a code. And someone like Khabib, you don't see how Khabib retired?
He retired on top, yeah. Undefeated.
Yeah, well, he retired because he retired in his heart. Mm-hmm. Either he wouldn't have his dad with his side, either because he made a promise to his mom.
Yeah.
What it wasn't about he could physically fight. He still can beat the best. He still can make a lot of money. The modern day people think about it and say, why you can't retire? Why did you retire? Mm-hmm. But people don't understand that it's something in the heart. Something of that warrior aspect has simmered. Mm-hmm. And I think someone like Khabib, if he's not willing to go in there and die, he's not going to fight anymore. Like me, it's the same thing. It's like, it's not about the money or the fame or physicality. It's about what's in your heart. Mm-hmm. And to go into the ring, to go into the area that you admit in your heart that you're going to die, mm-hmm. is not easy. If I told you you're going to die on this Saturday in a car accident, don't ride a car. That's what most people would do. They'd stay out of the car.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but for us, I admit in my heart that I might die in the ring today.
Mm-hmm.
I make all the plans to make sure that if I die, things will be okay. I write notes to people.
Right.
Every fight, before my fight, I wrote notes to people that I love.
Yeah.
So, to have it embedded to that depth that you're gonna die, that it's like a whole different level.
Mm-hmm.
It's a whole different thing. Yeah. So, for me, I didn't feel I could die in the ring anymore, and that's why I retired. And maybe that's what happened with Khabib, either because he didn't have his father by his side anymore, or because of the promise he made to his mother.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know what it was, so people try to so convince him to come out of retirement.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Khabib knows that he's not Khabib of before. He might be able to still win, but it's not about winning and losing. It's not about, people say you can still make that big paycheck. It's not about the paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
It's about the warrior inside.
Mm-hmm.
Can you bring that warrior to the ring anymore? And that warrior is all about being able to give everything you got and being able to die in the ring. And if you can't do that, for me, at least for me, I can't speak for Khabib, but for me, I wouldn't be the same person.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be fair to my legacy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What do you think about, because in your book you've talked about the business side when you were competing, and I was actually kind of surprised at how some of those people kind of dealt with you. You would do things the right way, you would kind of follow the rules, and then all of a sudden something would happen, or they would stab you in the back or try to take something from you. Is that just the fight game in general? I mean, the business side of it, is it always just going to be that complicated?
What do you have a specific situation that you recall that you're thinking about when you're asking me that?
Well, with Pride, for example. So with Pride, for example, Don Fry mentioned that he wasn't really paid fully for some of those fights. And there were certain things in the contract that stated that some of the fighters, it didn't say that they weren't allowed to use performance-enhancing drugs, but shady business deals, ripping certain fighters off. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I can't really answer that because they never did that to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They treated me really good.
Yeah.
And there was a clause. It was a clause in the contract that those tests for barbiturates. I think I even posted. I think I even have a picture of the contract.
Mm.
It says test for this, that, barbiturates, cocaine, that kind of stuff, and then it says at the end, it doesn't not have steroids listed. It has on top, we will not test for steroids.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Joe Rogan mentioned that on his podcast.
Yeah,
that's right.
I told Joe Rogan that. Yeah, they have that in the clause. It says,
right,
we will not test for steroids. I think I posted on my social media. When I found the contract, I took a picture. I said, check this out.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So that is shady, but you have bodybuilders where people ooh and awe and get inspired by the amount of big muscles that they build.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing behind in the back of their head that without steroids or growth hormone, they probably couldn't build that kind of muscle.
Yeah.
But still, with that in their back of their head, they still ooh and ah, and they're inspired by it. It's kind of hypocritical.
Right.
So in a way, Pride. People love that. How Mark Kerr looked like a specimen going into the ring.
He looked like a
people
superhero.
Love that thing.
Yeah.
People love that. So I think Pride was just being real.
Mm-hmm.
And allowing people to take enhancing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, honestly, man, for me, I don't think steroids will make you a little stronger. Steroids will make you train a little harder. Steroids might give you a little bit of an edge. But you know what? Steroids alone aren't going to help you win the fight.
Right.
It's it's their stamina, it's your persistence, it's your technique. It's how much you push. This guy can take steroids, but not train as hard as the other person. And
right.
Steroids is if you're both exactly on the same level, which never happens in mixed martial arts.
Mm-hmm.
The guy that's third might have a little edge.
Right.
But as you know, because you have a little edge and because you are the better fighter, doesn't mean you're not going to make a mistake.
True. Right.
Steroids not going to help you breathe longer without blood going to your brain. Steroids
Right.
not going to help your joint. Steroids, as you know, don't make your ligaments or joints stronger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, for me, I looked at it that way. Like, I knew Mark Kerr was on all kinds of stuff. Look at his body. When I fought him, I knew that. But I prepared to fight someone that was on a lot of steroids, a lot of performance-enhancing drugs.
Right. Yeah.
So.
You mentioned the Yakuza earlier. I know the government has made life very difficult for the Yakuza in Japan. So I guess what kind of what I've enjoyed and what kind of baffled me a little bit is some of the Yakuza stories that you had in your first book. There was that one incident where someone actually tried to run you over, and you went out looking for him. The other one was a shady business deal where you actually got into it with a Yakuza member. Can you get into that story?
Was the one I beat up?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah, well, so
it's like something out of a movie, Yeah.
Yeah, in Japan,
Yeah.
even till today, if you're a Yakuza, they don't allow you to train in the gym.
That's right.
So I didn't do that.
Oh, you let them? Yeah, that's right. You let them train in the gym.
Yakuzas, anybody could train in my gym. So I had these two Yakuzas. I wrote it in the book. His name was Tanaka. One guy was Tanaka. One guy was Eiji. And they were part of two different families. Eiji was a part of this Kyokuto, and Tanaka was with the Inagawa Kai. Yeah, so they were friends. They allowed me to. They wanted to train fighting, but they had nowhere to train. So I said, "Come to my gym. My gym's allowed." So instead of mixing with the regular members, I made them spar with train with the pro fighters. So, Kid Yamamoto needed money, so I decided to have them have private lessons with Kid, and Kid would get money. So I helped Kid, financially, and I'm helping them, get somewhere to train. So they would come like once or twice a week. Kid would be making a lot of money, and then we thought that. Then they mentioned to me like, "Hey, we're thinking of opening up a gym. Will you support us opening up a gym?" I said, "Oh wow, yeah, okay." I said, "I'll support you in opening up a gym, and with only two rules: that you hire two of my fighters." Because the fighters back then was still working part-time jobs and trying to fight. So I thought, get my two fighters to have fighting run their life. They can make money off fighting, make a living off fighting. They said, "Okay." So we created this gym called Purebred Tokyo. And that gym, I told Kid he was going to be the top guy in it. Him and Ryan Bull. So Ryan Bull and Kid was running the gym. Kid was a top guy, so I told Kid, purebred something. Like the gym in Saipan is called Purebred Trench Tech. So you have a purebred whatever. So I said you keep it purebred, you can name it purebred something. So Kid decided on naming it Killer Bee. Said, "Okay, cool, Killer Bee, purebred Killer Bee, purebred Tokyo Killer Bee." Okay, good, that's cool. So we had that. Kid started becoming a big star. Eiji, one of the Yakuza guys, Eiji, he was actually in charge of Kid. So whenever I saw a Kid act out of place, or I saw a Kid getting a little too cocky, I would call Eiji and tell Eiji, "Hey, Eiji, take care of Kid. He's acting. I stop him from doing that." So what happened was, Eiji got to a point where he got so overwhelmed in Kid's fame, is that he was like all about Kid. And when I would come out, he would be like supporting Kid, like almost like, wait, listen, I gotta protect Kid kind of thing. So I actually called him to a hotel, a meeting in a coffee shop, and I told him, "Hey, you gotta take care of shit. If you don't take care of shit, we're gonna have a problem." So instead of taking care of shit, what he decided to do was continue what he's doing and then start avoiding me. Avoided my phone calls, I would just pop in the gym. He would stay away from the gym. And all those people there would protect him. Like, "Oh, we don't know where AG is. Oh, all this kind of shit. Oh, have him call me." Doesn't call me. It went on for like about 3 months. Kid fought in an event called Heroes. I think he beat Genki Sudo in the finals and won the championships. I watched it on TV because I already had a problem with the way Kid was acting, and the father was too involved. The father was all about money, so I wanted to stay away from that whole scene. So I kind of backed off. But I always was watching them, making sure that everything stayed in place. And what I was real surprised to see was when Kid won the tournament, AG jumped in the ring. You know, in Japan, Yakuzas weren't supposed to go into the ring. So one, he broke that rule. Two, I was thinking to myself, oh, this guy is running and hiding from me. But he has nerve jumping in the ring in front of TV, almost like in your face, Enson. So I was actually at my house with two of my friends. And we're actually going to drive to a town about 30 minutes away and go to hostess clubs and drink.
Right.
So we're looking forward to it, going out and drinking with the chicks, you know, yeah, have fun, everything. And what happened was, as soon as I saw AJ in the ring, I looked at my friend and said, we're canceling that, we're not going to drink. I said, called one of my students, said, hey, find out where the after party is. Found out where the after party was, we went straight to the after party. I had my students go in to drag that Yakuza guy out to talk to him. I actually wanted him to drag him and Kid out. They went in there and then the party moved. Find out where the next Japan, they have parties, but they have second parties, third parties.
Oh, okay. Right.
Yeah, so find out where the second party is. Found out where it was. We went there, and I told my students, grab Kid out. I'll beat the fuck out of him in the park. And they was like, oh, but what about AG? I said, oh, okay, wait. Bring AG out first. So I was going to walk into the party and just grab AG by the fucking hair and drag him out. But my students felt like that was going to be too much of a scene. So they went in and they said, they'll go get him. So I waited in the park. They went in to get him. And they went in and they told him that, you know, Enson's upstairs. So he comes to the park. Comes to the park, and then I end up, you know, I remember the beginning of the whole thing was I remember thinking, you trying to run from me. So I remember telling him, oh, you're running from me, and I would low kick him. And then he's not a fighter, so he has no idea to defend. He's like and it's hurting him bad.
Right.
Like the third low kick, he fell to the ground. I grabbed his suit, stood him back up, and then, you know, I didn't like punch him like that. I kind of started talking to him. So you think you're gonna run from me? You're gonna disobey me? And I backhand him in the face. So I hit him straight in the face. So he started bleeding. So the beating went on about 20 minutes. And, you know, I was wanting to teach him a lesson and then make a statement. So when I went and grabbed them, everybody freaked out. It was the Underworld has like a real big grapevine. So word went out. The Chinese Mafia, which is my friends, 3 of them came over. And there was a guy that came over. One of his friends came over. And they started trying to ask me to stop. The Chinese Mafia guys weren't going to get involved. They already are just to back me up. The one guy that was his friend started bowing. You know, in Japan, the lower you bow is showing that you're showing your pride. So if I just bow like this to you, rather if I bow like this, if I bow like that and hold the bow as low as I can, that's showing that I'm throwing away all my pride, and that's how important you are to me. That's how much gratitude I have to you. But just do that, you're saying, I'm thankful, but you're below me. So this guy would bend and bow to my belly button and hold it and say, please, please forgive him. And I would walk around them and start hitting them.
Right.
The word got out to his higher ups that was happening. And they came walking through in the park. I remember thinking to myself later, like, fuck, it sounded like gorillas, man, because they're coming through the bushes.
Right.
And as soon as when I saw them coming, there's 3 guys walking towards me, pissed off. The Chinese Mafia came up and boom, stopped them. And they're like, stop, no. And they're like, oh, fine, they're screaming at me. And they're about to get into it. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. This is my problem. Because if they touch the Chinese Mafia is going to have a problem with them.
Yeah.
And it's going to be like a problem a lot bigger than just me and them. So I told my friends, I said, let them go. Let them through. And they came over and I said, like, okay, whatever you guys want to do, I'm game. I said, but let me just say one thing. And they said, what did you look at my brother, look at what you did to him. And the guy's standing there with all blood dripping down his face. And I looked at him, I said, hey, if someone fucks you over and backstab me like he did, I said, wouldn't you punish him? He said, yeah, I would, but look what you did to him. And I said, well, if you would have punished him only 20% of what you really wanted to do, you don't think that's kindness? And he said, yeah, that would be cool, but look at him. I said, the guy's name was Hasegawa. I said, Hasegawa. I said, I've been hitting him for 20 minutes. If I wanted to hurt him, how long do you think it would be to make me put him out of commission? And he looked at me, and I said, I only did 20%. Look at him, 20 minutes, man. And that guy just changed. And it was like, oh, shit. Can you please not do any more? I said, I did what I wanted to do. I sent my message. He said, Enson, if he doesn't straighten up, I'll kill him myself. And that's what happened. That was that story. You know, I wrote that in the book, too. And that was that story, yeah.
It's like something out of a movie, you know?
Yeah,
it's pretty intense. Yeah.
I'm not saying that I'm stronger than Yakuza. They could smash me tomorrow if they wanted to. I mean, easily. You know, so, you know, of course I was walking eggshells. I did take chances in doing what I did. But I did still kept my path of Yamato Domashi, doing what's right, having my integrity, my honor, you know, so... Yeah, you know, that's a lot of things that happened in my life is like that, you know. Yeah. The Yamato Damashi way, in some ways, endangered my physical life, but in other ways, it catapulted my spiritual life. You know, they say there's two lives: there's spiritual and physical. Right. And spiritual life is eternity. Physical life is a mere 90 years, 100 years, you know. And you look at the date, you know, the dates of, I look at it like this: you're born on this day, you die on this day. Do you notice what they use for the length of your lifespan? A little dash. Right. Yeah. And I feel like that's how much it means, comparing it to the life of eternity, spiritual life. Right. So I always believed that I would never ever want to sacrifice the level and the honor and the integrity of my spiritual life to lengthen my physical life. So although doing what I did and standing up for my beliefs and keeping my honor might have endangered my physical life, it took care and it cultivated and it elevated the life that is eternity in my spiritual life. Right. And for people who might be a little confused on it, something real simple. I always tell this story in my interviews. If there was a child in a burning building on the second floor, and the fire department, you know, they take extra precautions, I guess, dangerous. Okay, nobody else go into the building because the building is a little unstable, and there's a 50% chance that the building might collapse. If I'm walking by that building and I see that kid on the second floor screaming for help, and I'll assess the situation. Oh yeah, there's a chance that it might die in there. And you know, as far as you know, the fire department or any official, if there's a chance that someone else is going to die, they won't allow them to go in. Safety first. And for me, I feel that if I assessed it, and you know, if the stairs were all crumbling and there was no chance, I'm not going to be an idiot running to the fire and say, yeah, I tried, I died with honor. No, that's not honor, that's stupidity. For me, I would assess the situation. Okay, the stairs I still can climb. The building is falling, but looks like there's time. I might be able to run in and get the kid, you know? So for me, having that belief and knowing that, hey, there is a chance I could save this kid. For me, honorably, for my honor, for my pride, for inside my heart, for me not to run in and to see that building collapse and to hear that child scream and die, I think spiritually that would have ruined me. Knowing that there was a chance that I could have done something, but I chose not to because I wanted to continue my physical life. Right. Yeah. It would eat me. And if you read my book, it's almost a mirror effect to my situation with Danny, my friend Danny. Right. Yeah. You know, I chose this physical safety. I didn't want to help Danny because I was afraid those kids are going to beat me up.
Mm-hmm.
Little did I know, I'm 55 today. Right now, thinking of that whole situation, I have a little churning in my throat and my heart right now. It hurts.
Mm-hmm.
The pain is still there. The pain is still there from the Danny days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Physically, no matter what injury I had, even if I was crippled and my knee was all fucked up and I walked with a limp, I would be walking with a limp since I was like 10 years old. I would be used to it already. It wouldn't be a big deal in my life right now.
Right.
If I couldn't play a sport, fine, I would adjust and I would do something else, Physically, I'd be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Spiritually, it's damaged. It's damaged me.
Mm-hmm.
But I used that damage to never ever do it again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I would never, ever, ever sacrifice my spiritual life for my physical life. If I have to die tomorrow to honor my spiritual life and to cultivate my spiritual life, I'll do it in a heartbeat.
Right. Yeah. It's an amazing story in your book, and I think all martial arts fans, practitioners should read it. It's a real page turner. It's an amazing book. Two more things from me. I appreciate your time. I know you don't like to be called a humanitarian, but you've done 61 missions, I believe, correct?
Yes.
That's a big number. That's a lot.
Yes.
That's a lot of work. Can you talk about that and why that's important to you?
Yeah. Well, that was the reason why I don't call myself a humanitarian, because I didn't do it because I wanted to help people that I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
When I first went up north, I went up because I used to live up north for 4 years, and I wanted to check the people that was dear to me.
Mm-hmm.
And while I was up here, it was just a coincidence that one of my other friends called me and said, "Enson, I can't get in touch with my friend that's up north. Can you check him?" I said, "Okay, I'll check him." We didn't realize it was another 8 hours up north. Because as you know, the whole coast of Japan on that side was damaged by the tsunami.
Yeah.
So I said, "Okay, I'll go up. I'll go check him out." So I went up, drove up there. When I found it was 8 hours, I already promised her I'm going to go up. So I went up.
Mm-hmm.
What happened then is the reason why 61 missions still today, still continuing and counting, is because what I learned doing the missions, what I learned that I already knew it, but it was affirmed that the true happiness in life is the happiness of giving and not receiving. And I've also realized that my mission in life is to help people. So I people say, you spend your own money. Of course, I have a foundation, the Enson Inoue Foundation, that helps fund a lot of these missions now. Before then, it was all out of my pocket, and people would say, "Wow, you're so amazing. You get nothing out of it." And what I tell these people is, what you guys don't realize, I get more out of it than I could in financial. I get more than that paper money that can buy you worldly material things. I get the warmth in my heart that I get money can't buy. You can buy me the best car, you can buy me a new house. The happiness will be there, but the warmth in my heart that giving an old lady shoes that's lost everything, there's no comparison. So, the reason why it's continuing, that's the reason why this will probably continue. The people in North Japan will never be back on their feet. And my missions will continue until they get back on their feet. So my conditions is endless, my missions. So, I get a lot of happiness doing that. And that's the reason why I still do it today. Yeah,
it's amazing. And
when I said that I found out my mission in life is to help people, just out of chance, this bracelet business that I have.
Yeah.
I only did it because it protected me, the bracelets. I felt the bracelets was a form of protection, and I wore it because of that. And I started buying it for friends because in Japan they believe it protects you. Little did I know that it was made with power stones and has properties for health, properties for any, anxiety, it's properties for a lot of different things.
Right.
And now my business in Hawaii is Enson's healing stones. It helps heal. It helps protection. So I believe in that. Some people gawk at it. Something like Joe Rogan doesn't believe in it. Well, that's fine. Believe it or not. I don't personally feel it, but I've helped I've made bracelets for someone who had joint problems, and the joint problems got better.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I made a bracelet with rose quartz, which helps with allergies. There's a kid that came in with all scars on her face and all of her arms.
Mm-hmm.
And the mom wanted something for allergies. So at the time, I didn't really know about power stones.
Mm-hmm.
I looked it up. And I said, oh, rose quartz is good for allergies. Okay, so I made the kid a bracelet for rose quartz.
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks later, she came in, and she was at the verge of tears. And she brought her daughter. The daughter's scars were healing up. And she said, Enson, she's not scratching at night. She's sleeping at night. I'm like,
oh, wow.
I mean, even till today, there's numerous testimonials like that. And even till today, I'm like, for me, I don't put it on and say, oh, I feel stronger now. Yeah. I
Right.
wear it because I believe in it. I don't know if it's really helping, if it's placebo, but if it's helping, it's helping. Whether it's in the mind, whether it's because the stones have power, it's helping. And I had enough testimonies to make me believe in it now. So, lo and behold, what is my bracelet business doing? Is helping people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I realized that, my mission in life is to help people. And to the day I die, I think that's what I'll be doing. I'll be doing those missions up north.
Yeah.
And whatever I can to help people, I find joy in that.
Yeah, you have some amazing bracelet. I saw some of them on your Instagram page. I saw a mahogany one, and what that means as well. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to try to get that one. And last thing, plug everything that you have. You also have a podcast as well. So where can people reach you?
Yeah, I think all the stories you see in my book, we're covering all the stories on my podcast. It's called the Yamato Domashi podcast. It just started up. It's not something that I'm trying to monetize or make it big. Of course, if that happens, that'd be great. But it's more about, getting my story out. The same reason why I wrote the book is because I wanted people to understand me.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't about me. I'm tough. I don't feel pain. I never tapped in because of that. No. I wanted people to understand me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I wrote the book. So that's what the podcast is about, is explaining about why I fought the way I fought, the way I did. So yeah, the podcast is real interesting. So check that out. Of course, I mentioned the bracelet. The bracelet is not a... I also have a foundation, the Enson Inoue Foundation. It helps me with my missions up north. I have a company, DestinyForever.com. It's my bracelet business. And don't get me wrong, the bracelet business is not a charitable business.
Mm-hmm.
The money comes to me.
Mm-hmm.
And people think it's a charity business, and they say if you buy a bracelet, it helps people up north. It is true. But I don't want to be misunderstood where, okay, you buy a bracelet and that money goes to the north.
Right.
The money goes to what I choose to use it on.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times I do choose to use it in the north. So a lot of that money is going to the north.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to sit here and tell you, yeah, you buy a bracelet, going to help people up north. But sometimes some bracelets you buy is going to help me get a fucking massage.
Right.
Some bracelets you buy is going to help me buy the supplies to build a bigger pond,
Right.
So yeah, I'm not going to push my company as a charitable company. It's my own company that raises money for me to help me do things that I enjoy in life.
Mm-hmm.
So that's DestinyForever.com. I'm on all platforms of Instagram, Facebook, all social media platforms, Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you can I don't have a blue dot, so if you look at the content, you'll know it's me. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, they won't give me my blue dots, for somehow I can't prove that I'm really me. So I pretty much gave up on the blue dot. But if you go Enson Inoue, just look at the content. If you compare to Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, I pretty much post on all three platforms simultaneously.
Right.
So that's why you know if it's a real incident. If it doesn't match up with my Facebook, then that's not me.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, it was a real pleasure talking to you, and I hope I get to meet you one day. I'd like to come out to Japan, and I'd like to meet you, hopefully. Yeah, I appreciate your time, and thank you for this. So it means a lot. You're my hero, and this is great.
Keep in touch, and one last word: MMA has made me who I am today, and from the bottom of my heart, I'm appreciative to the people who do things for MMA and help push the sport to what it is today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right on, brother.
Take care. Bye.
All right.